Hey everybody, my name is Sam Moll and I live here in New York City, and I'm a former Sylvia Center Community Chef. So I worked with the Cooks for Health program. So I was with the middle school students in the Williamsburg area of Brooklyn. So I moved to New York City about 3 years ago to get a Master's of Science in Nutrition. And I finished that last year. And now I'm working towards being a dietitian. So I just finished what's called a Dietetic Internship. And soon I'm going to take this big credentialing exam to become a dietitian. And so today I'm going to be speaking about mindfulness. It's something that has really helped me kind of navigate the world and stay calm and like contribute and kind of serve at my highest capacity. And so I got into mindfulness about 3 years ago by doing a yoga teacher training. And since then, I've just kind of continued to keep it up through meditation and exercise and just kind of bringing in the idea of mindfulness into my daily life. Thanks for joining, everyone. Mindfulness is a big topic, and I'm hoping that I can kind of present it to you in a way that's digestible and you're able to kind of walk away with some skills that you can incorporate into your life. So at the end, we'll have plenty of time for questions. So if you have any questions kind of during the exercises, just hold off on them and I'm happy to answer any questions. So just to define mindfulness, to me, mindfulness is the product of being mindful. So, and we kind of develop mindfulness through awareness exercises. And so it's just an increased awareness without judgment of our lives. So it's not having it's being able to recognize how we're feeling without being kind of consumed by our emotions. Especially right now, it can kind of feel like the world's on fire. With COVID, with police brutality, with feeling like summer 2020 has been canceled, it can be really difficult to not feel stressed and anxious and have a lot of emotions. And first off, it's okay to feel however you're feeling, but there's also some really great tools to help kind of stay calm and kind of keep going. So how this session's going to work is first we're going to do some more like movement-based exercises to just release some tension, get the energy flowing, get the blood flowing. And then I'm going to encourage everyone to sit back down. And then we're going to do some breath work, some breathing meditation, and then I'll talk about just some recommendations of how you can incorporate this into your daily life. So we're standing nice and tall. We're grounding our feet down onto whatever surface we're standing on. So the outsides of our feet, the insides of our feet, and our heels are all pushing down into the earth. So much so that we might feel like roots are growing out from the bottoms of our feet. And then we're also going to feel the crown of our head reaching up nice and tall. And we're going to roll our shoulders up, back, and down. This is going to open up our chest and open up our heart and allow us to breathe a little better. Okay? So the first couple exercises we're going to do are really to kind of bring some movement to the areas of our body that are affected from sitting a lot. I know I'm sitting a lot more than I'm used to. Maybe you are as well. So the first thing we're going to do is just kind of twist and bring a little bit of almost like lubrication to our joints. So I'm going to hold my hands out in front of me and I'm going to rotate my hands in both directions. So let's do 5 times in each direction. 3, 4, and 5. And let's go in the other direction. 1 and 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now let's put our hands on our hips and just bring some big rotations into your hips in each direction. 1, and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. That's great. Let's switch directions. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. Great. So now we're going to bring all of our weight onto one of our legs. So I'm putting all my weight into my left leg, reaching my right foot up, and I'm just going to rotate my ankle in both directions. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Switch directions. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now we're going to rotate that whole leg around. And if you lose your balance, that's okay. You can put your hand on a wall or a chair or anything that's nearby. That should be about 5, and switch directions. 2, 3, 4, and 5. All right, let's switch legs. So place whatever leg was in the air on the ground, lift the other foot up, and we're just gonna rotate that foot 5 times in each direction. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Let's switch directions. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now let's rotate that whole leg 5 times in each direction. A lot of times I really like this exercise because I really find that I hold a lot of tension in my hips. So by moving your legs, you can kind of help to release that tension. And by doing these movements, you might realize there's certain parts of your body that you also want to work. So, okay, let's switch directions. 3. All right, we can put that leg down. Now we're gonna get a little bouncy. We're gonna get a little more kind of free movement. So first, we're gonna keep our left foot on the ground, and we're just going to kind of like tap our right foot a few times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Other foot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's shake out our right hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Other hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we're just gonna jump around a couple times. Just move that whole body. All right, that's great, that's great. Hopefully your neighbors below aren't too upset about any jumping that's going on. Great. So now we're gonna do some stretching to really open up our chest. That's really gonna help us when we do some breath work in a little bit. So we're gonna leave our right hand down on our side and lift our left hand up, straight up to the sky. And then we're gonna reach our left hand over and we're gonna look up at our hand. We're reaching. And now that lifted left hand, we're gonna extend it down all the way to our toes. And then we're gonna roll back up to stand. Awesome. All right, now we're gonna raise our right hand high to the sky. Look up at that right hand and extend it to your left. And reach that hand down and around. And roll up to stand 1 vertebrae at a time. That's great. All right, our next movement is going to hopefully release a little tension in our back. I find this when I'm sitting, and if I don't have good posture, I'm kind of hunched over a little. So I want everyone to put their hands on the small of their back with their fingers pointed towards their toe. So if you can see my hands, my hands are on the small of my back. My fingers are pointing down towards my feet. And we're going to reach up through the crown of our head and find just a little back bend. And come back up to stand nice and tall. We're going to do that one more time. And if it feels comfortable, maybe your back bend goes a little deeper. And find a slight back bend. And come back to stand. That's great. Now to open up our shoulders and our chest, we're going to interlace our hands behind our back and clasp them, if you like I'm doing here. And with our hands clasped behind our back, we're going to take a forward fold and our hands reach up high into the sky. Really let the crown of your head, the full weight of it, kind of just fall down towards the ground to really feel the full benefit of this. Keeping a slight bend in your knees. And you can release your hands down to your feet and interlace opposite elbows and just come back into that forward fold. And just kind of release anything you're holding on to here. Just let go of it, let go, let go. Maybe you find a little bit of swaying from side to side, thinking about your arms as like a trunk, like an elephant's trunk. Great. You can release your hands down to the ground, and we're going to come up to stand, rolling up one vertebrae at a time. That is great. All right, we're going to do just a few, maybe one or two more exercises before we come down into our seated breath work. So let's spread our legs out nice and wide. So farther than hips distance apart, and we're going to place our hand down on the ground. And just like we were doing in our forward fold before, I want you to release the crown of your head, letting the full heavy weight of that big brain of yours kind of release down towards the floor. That's great. And I want everyone to leave their left hand down on the ground and raise their right hand up to the sky. And if that feels pretty deep, your left hand that's on the ground, you can come up onto spider fingers to give yourself a little bit more elevation, where you're extended on your fingers, and our gaze is up at our lifted right hand. And release your right hand down to the ground. And we're going to switch hands. So our right hand stays on the ground and our left hand lifts up. And release that left hand down. And roll back up to stand, raising up one vertebrae at a time. And that's great. So I want to give everyone a couple seconds just to wiggle out any last movements you want before we do a little seated breath work. So get any sort of movements out. Okay, so I'd like everyone to come in a comfortable seated position. I'm sitting on the floor with a pillow. If you're in a chair, just make sure both of your feet are firmly planted on the ground. And just like when we were practicing those movement exercises, I really want to encourage everyone to have a good posture. So that means the crown of our head is reaching up to the sky. Our shoulders are reaching up, back, and down. And this just allows us to create a little more space in our chest, so it allows us more space to breathe. So breath work is such a crucial part to mindfulness because, first off, because most of the time we're very stressed and we're breathing just into this like top half of our chest, and we're not using the full capacity of our lungs. So we're not delivering our body as much oxygen as it really needs. And that just can lead to more stress. So we're going to go through a breathing technique that's going to show us how to use the full capacity of our lungs. And breath work is such a great place to start when we want to introduce some mindfulness, because we're always breathing. You know, the moment we stop breathing, we stop living. So it's a great tool to help us to like introduce us to the idea of mindfulness. So we've all found our comfortable seated position, and let's place our left hand on our heart and our right hand on our belly. And you can either keep your eyes open or closed. I find when my eyes are closed, I'm better able to kind of concentrate on my breath, and I have a little bit less distractions, but totally up to you. So I'm gonna close my eyes, and we're gonna just start to notice our breath. Don't try to change it or manipulate where it's going. Just notice where your breath is moving in your body. On your inhalations, what's happening? And then on your exhalations, what's happening in your body? And so through this exercise, we're going to be concentrating on our breath. And this amazing thing happens when we concentrate on our breath. We can find a little bit of stillness and calmness because we're better able to kind of shut out everything else that is going on. So just remember as you walk away from this exercise that your breath is always here. It's always ready to serve you. All right, let's practice some full breathing. So we're going to close our mouth and take a deep breath in through our nose and send that breath down to your belly, expanding your belly on the inhale. And exhale, your belly relaxes and flattens. Inhaling through our nose, our belly expands, sending that breath all the way deep down into our stomach. And exhale, release, breathing out through the nose. While we're doing this, at any point, if you feel a little lightheaded, just, stop doing the exercise and kind of go back to your normal breathing pattern. So we inhale through our nose, belly expands. And exhale, releasing and just letting go of everything. We're going to do 3 more belly breaths together. So inhaling through our nose, our belly expands maybe a little bigger than it has before. And exhale, belly relaxes. 2 more like that. Inhale, our belly expands, deep breath in. And exhale, belly relaxes. Last breath together. Inhale, belly expands. And exhaling through our nose. You can release your hands down to your sides. And for just another moment, let's keep our eyes closed. And just take this moment to notice if you feel any different. Or just take a moment to notice, just to notice. Whenever I practice exercises like this, I feel that I'm never more myself than when I'm still. I'm never more myself than when I am still. Okay? We can, if your eyes are closed, you can flutter your eyes open. Great. Well, I feel great. Thank you for joining. So that was just a simple breathwork meditation. And if this is something you enjoyed, it's something that, I try to encourage people to start with doing this for, 5 minutes a day, twice a day. And the more you do it, you'll find that belly breathing. So when you inhale, your belly expands, and exhale, your belly relaxes. That just becomes kind of your way of breathing. So kind of the more you practice it, the easier it gets, and it just kind of becomes your normal breathing pattern.
We would like you to touch on how would you feel is the best way to approach children, especially now with what's going on. And I want our students to be able to be mindful of the fact that everyone, not just them, everyone is going through something.
Yeah. Well, I think, Doris, just what you said, that's really the place to start. Just being aware that this is hard for everyone. It's a challenging place to be in, where everyone is spending more time at home. We're sharing maybe small spaces. We're sharing computers, and just acknowledging that if the interactions you're having with someone is because of challenges they're having. So I think, especially with that age, modeling behaviors is so important. Where if you want your students to be mindful and attentive, first that needs to be something that you're practicing. Because I think kids are, especially like the younger they are, almost the more aware they are. So really coming into the class with a sense of calm, giving space for the students to kind of express themselves. So starting kind of with your own practice. And maybe before each class you start, you take a couple deep breaths and just kind of prepare for to help you prepare for that class. If other students are involved in the exercise, I think they can really encourage that activity, and then maybe next time they'll be more engaged. And doing the virtual platform is new to all of us, so I think kind of finding how we best teach it's a learning curve, that's kind of just being confident in yourself to try stuff out. Yeah, I think one last thing that I would add is for you, mindfulness can be whatever you want it to be. It doesn't need to be sitting and breathing or moving around. It's about kind of just like practicing some self-love. So that's up to all of us to determine what that is. So I really encourage everyone to just find some time where you can be by yourself. I know that's challenging because we're probably home with our families, but any way that you can, any space that you can go to where you can just be alone for a little bit is really important. It's really important to just kind of hang out with yourself and just practice self-compassion. So I spent the past 5 months at the University Hospital of Brooklyn, which is in Flatbush, Brooklyn. And I was, training to be a clinical dietitian. So that means going on the floors, speaking with the patients. And it really starts with just having a conversation with all these patients that have so many different disease states. So it's, they might have just had an amputation or a kidney transplant or a heart attack or any number of things. And my job as a RD dietitian to be is providing them like medical nutrition therapy. So providing them a diet and foods that are going to help them heal. And in this setting, you really see how important food is. You see that, certain, high protein or having certain amino acids or fats can really benefit their health. So it's a really amazing place to see kind of nutrition in action. And it's it's been really fun. I've had the opportunity to lead mindfulness classes for the nurses and doctors, which has been a really great opportunity. And I did that kind of right before the whole COVID pandemic happened. So I'm hopeful that, you know, it's something that's, you know, able to serve them when they're going through some really stressful times right now.
Sometimes the stresses from the day, they can feel really heavy, and this is a way to relieve some of that. Whatever you guys feel is going to relieve some stress, that's what you would do. That's the advice that Sam is giving you. Yeah, so it's always a pleasure to see you and to speak to you and to have you do your mindfulness lessons. I feel like it's very needed at this time. It's necessary. Thank you, Sam, and we'll catch up a little bit later. Now we're going to go into our lesson with the students for what they have to do for the week. Thank you so much for joining us.
All right. Have a great class, everyone. Nice to meet you all.